to our first episode of Astrolo-Tea. I am here. My name is Shelby Gilyard. I'm here to open us up today, and I'm here with Kylie Morgan.
Hello.
Me and her are going to be doing some fun calls for you guys every week where we really break down more about the astrology each month, specific aspects of astrology. And before we dive in, we want to share what tea we're drinking always, because we're always going to have some tea that we're sipping on as we go through this. So Kylie, what are you drinking?
Honestly, I'm keeping it super simple with just like an orange blossom.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And I love the mug. I'm drinking a cold tea, like a room temperature tea with like some lemon, honey, and a little bit of turmeric in there. So I was like, let me get that anti-inflammation going on today. So amazing. Well, I'm excited to dive in, and what we're going to be covering today is the September astrology. Today's September 3rd. We're going to cover everything that's going on in this month because there is a lot, and Kylie is going to break it down for us to begin. I'm going to end it with some questions for us to reflect and ponder as we go into this month. And before we start, and before I pass it on, we're just going to introduce ourselves for those of you who don't know who we are. My name's Shelby Gilyard, 28 years old, live in San Francisco. I trade, I love meditation, I love psychedelic medicine, I love all things health and wellness. Used to do a lot of work with clients with NLP, and I'm a huge astrology fan. I started learning about astrology when I was pretty young, and it just blew my mind. And I kept learning, kept growing, kept tuning into YouTube videos from different people that have been in this space for decades. And there's just always more to learn. And it's so fascinating to look at the past and see the similarities between what's happening in the skies right now and what's happened in the past. And I encourage you, as you listen to our videos each week, to really keep your mind open to what you're hearing. Ask us questions in the comments while you're watching the recording. And we are going to kind of base a lot of the calls that we do each week based on what you guys want to learn as well, what we think is the most important message to bring forth from spirit. So with that being said, I'm going to pass it off to Kylie, our amazing astrologer, who's really so well versed in this topic. And she's really going to be supporting us and guiding us through different elements of what astrology is and giving us great background so we can all know what's going on. So Kylie, take it away.
Yes, thank you, Shelby. Thanks for opening up the call. Like Shelby said, my name is Kylie, and we are both super excited to be creating this resource to be able to check in and have a little chat over some tea or whatever you're sipping on, and just be able to have like an energetic update as well as an opportunity to teach this beautiful language of astrology. Thank you again, Shelby, for opening up. As you guys heard, Shelby is an incredible resource to have access to for so many different other resources to dig into deeper self-development, healing, etc. And we really appreciate having her here. And like Shelby said, I am an intuitive astrologer. And just a quick background on me, I am living here in St. Louis, Missouri, born and raised St. Louis, Missouri. And I am 27 years young, old, almost said. 27 years young, we'll say. And my background with astrology is actually an interesting one. It wasn't until a few years ago when I had what feels best to say a remembering. And since then, I've just been immersed in the world, in the language, in the understanding of astrology and of energy, really. Because that is what we're speaking about today, is the language of the stars is a language of energy. And so we don't want to take up too much time. We're going to have a lot of chances to chat and get to know each other better over the weeks. But for today and every first week of every month, we want to dive into just a general energy update for the month and what to expect. So we'll start off with the personal planets. That we might be feeling in a more personal way. We see these vibrations vibrate out to create that collective experience. But the ones I want to focus in on for September are obviously kicking off this energy was the new moon in Virgo. And then we have our full moon in Pisces mid-month. I think it's September 10th. And both these moons are squared, which can be a challenging aspect, a challenging relationship with the planet Mars, and Mars is in Gemini. So we'll pause right there for just a second, say, what does that mean? Well, I just spoke about a new moon in Virgo, a full moon in Pisces, and Mars in Gemini. This is all mutable energy, first and foremost. And so we've got a lot of movement, a lot of change, maybe a lot of angst, a lot of uncertainty. This is a mutable energy, meaning that it is going to create change. It's going to initiate it. It likes to flow. It likes to buzz. It likes to try new and discover. And it can be high vibrations, right? Pisces, Virgo, Gemini. And with this square going on with Mars, this Mars is a very high action. It's a sometimes impulsive. It can rule over accidents, right? It can rule over maybe anger or outbursts in this way. It's a very warrior energy. But then the higher octave of Mars can also be that it really gets shit done. It is in action and it likes to be. It's the fuel to the fire. It brings the gas, right? So having Mars in this mutable energy and squaring these moons can feel like an opportunity to either create a lot of anxiety and stress in our mental and in our words and our communication with one another, and therefore in our environment because of what comes from what we spoke and what we created and cultivated, or an opportunity to really pause and use that mental energy to rewire, refocus, reevaluate, really feel into what's coming up in our senses with these moons, with the new moon and the full moon, and really feel into what is being exposed to us through that emotional GPS. Take that pause, use that energy to reevaluate, rewire, and get shit done. Which moves me into the other personal planet that I'd like to speak about, which is Mercury. And Mercury will be going retrograde September 9th through October. I believe it's October 1st. So all of September, we're going to be feeling this retrograde energy from Mercury. And that energy, when it retrogrades, any kind of retrograde brings about an opportunity to, again, pause, reflect, reevaluate. Some work to be done is coming back, right? Mercury rules over work, rules over communication, systems, networking, and just that in general energy of the mind and of doing and analyzing, right? And so when this energy comes back, we get a lot of details brought back to the surface. We get a lot of disruption with the outward flow of those things because we need to go in and we need to reevaluate. So with that being said, I want to go ahead and pass it to Shelby as she kind of bridges the gap for what this personal experience might feel like.
I love that. I love that you said like everything, this mutable energy coming in to kind of disrupt us and shake us. And Mars is that energy of like causing this huge change, but knowing that you have the strength and the ability to be like, you know, like you said, a warrior to move through it. And one of the biggest things I see with this energy coming through, because there's a lot of planets in retrograde in September too. Mercury, a lot of people know about Mercury, but they don't realize that Uranus just went retrograde like a couple days ago. I think it was like the 24th or something, and it will be retrograde for like 7 months, I think 5 months, something like that.
I'm not sure the exact time either, but it's going to be a while. It moves slower.
Yeah, so we have the influence of these inner planets that are going retrograde, but also some of the outer planets, which cause a global, bigger collective consciousness shift. And so when I think of that and I think, okay, the times that we're in right now with tech and finances and so many like shifting structures of our world, you know, how money's being used, resources, all of these things are starting to change. These deep physical 3D systems that we have depended on for so long, we are starting to see is no longer working. In fact, they're starting to break apart, and it can feel scary and anxiety ridden. But there's a way to approach it by looking at it in a different way. So I want you guys to think of these questions as we head into these last few months of the year, but specifically September, because I really think September is going to be a month of rapid change. There's something that is shifting deeply within all of us, and it's going to happen quicker than what we think. And essentially, I want you guys to ask yourself this question, you know, where are you at in your life? If you look at all aspects of your life, your physical health, your mental health, spiritual, emotional, financial, where are you at on a scale of 1 to 10? And I encourage you to do this journaling because it's going to let you know if you're at a 10, awesome, you're doing amazing, you're thriving, you're in flow, right? You're at most peak and abundance of what you can be in that area. One being really low, I'm doing horrible. I really need help. I'm in a hole, right? So figure out where you're at on that scale and then ask yourself, where am I ready to deeply reprogram these beliefs that are holding me in the results right now in the physical that I no longer want? Maybe my health isn't the best. Maybe I'm depressed, but I'm making a lot of money, right? Maybe I am ready to take care of, actually speaking my truth. Maybe that's something I really want to do. I need to connect more with spirit. I need to connect more with how my throat is communicating, which is also a theme that comes up with Mercury. So I want you guys to ask yourself, okay, where am I at in all of these aspects? And take inventory, right? Because as we go into September, there's going to be a lot of situations in our physical world that are going to come up. And I want you to think of them as kind of what's the word to say? Kind of like a test, right? It's like the universe is saying, here's this thing, here's the situation. Maybe it's not what you think it was, or maybe it's not what you think it was going to be, but how are you going to respond, right? Are you going to react? Or are you going to respond? Are you going to deal with it and flow with it and move with it and release the fear or the doubt and let what's happening be what is, right? And allow it to be, no matter how hard or tough or painful, but welcome it with love and say, this is what God wants right now. I'm supposed to learn something from this. Or are you going to let that experience take you down another path of the spiral of towards the negative, towards the lower emotional feelings, towards the fear, towards the doubt and the insecurities? So you really get a choice right now. And the only thing I want you guys to do is really ask yourself as well, where can I bring more awareness in? Right? At all these numbers in each of these parts of your health, if there's one that is really low, that's where you need to start. Where can I bring more awareness to what my physical body needs? Where can I bring more awareness to feeling into all aspects of my body? Where can I bring awareness to where I'm feeling depressed? What's tied to that depression, right? What's the root and the core of that depression? Does it go back to childhood? Does it go back to something someone said to me? Do I have triggers around this area, right? Why is that triggering me? What is that there to teach me? And you have to go deep into the root of what it is, because if you think about a subconscious belief, it is deep. It is like very, very deeply rooted. And so a lot of this time coming up is going to shake these roots. It's going to shake what we've held dear for so long. And it allows us the chance to also plant new seeds, right? Plant new things that we want to have come up in our life. So if you don't like that area of your life, or the results aren't the way you want it to be, if your finances aren't the way you want it to be, and you see the world having all these things shift in the finances, ask yourself, where can I be a part of this wave of change and evolution so that I can ride the waves of this shift, right? So that I can take advantage of it while I'm alive during this time and really pull myself out of these old beliefs and pull myself out of this physical reality I no longer am in alignment with, right? So these are a lot of the questions I want you to think about and put it down on paper, right? Scale of 1 to 10, all aspects of your health, and then the lowest ones, look at it and say, where can I bring more awareness into this area of my life? Yeah. What is the root cause of why this number is so low? And how can I make it go higher? And how can I be patient with myself as I make it go higher? And I think that's such a great place to leave it off with, because yeah, we're about to see some very interesting periods right now with the Mercury retrograde, reevaluating what's not working in our life, and really you can't really lie to yourself. Like if something's not going right in your life, like you can lie to other people, but you can't lie to yourself, and you can't lie to your creator, right? There's a reason that number is there, and there's a reason that it is so low for you, and you might need to make it move a little bit higher through just simply bringing more awareness. Yeah, that's all.
Always. Yep. Yeah. And okay, so really that theme of reevaluating is on the table right there with the taking the time to do those questions. And like you said, this is a huge time with retrogrades. And when retrogrades come about, it is a brilliant word to use, reevaluation. And so definitely take the time to do those questions on a personal level. And then as Shelby started to talk about some of that more collective energy that's going on with the different planets, such as Uranus being retrograde, such as Jupiter being retrograde, Saturn, Mars is going to go retrograde as well.
Neptune and Pluto.
Neptune, yep, that's right.
Yeah.
We have so much retrograded energy happening right now. So to take the time to do these personal evaluations, reevaluations of many aspects of your life. I mean, that call is totally knocking on the door right now. This is beautiful energy to work with. And I also want to point out again, speaking about that Mercury retrograde, in this month of September, that Mercury retrograde is happening in the sign of Libra, retrograding back into Virgo. And so when we think about Libra as well, I want to highlight that this is the sign of others. This is partnerships. This is, the sign of relationship and relating with others in that way, amongst other things. But I want to highlight that because when this energy is retrograding in that sign, and it is currently opposing, so it's in an opposition, which is kind of like a energy battle in which we need to kind of balance the two, right? So it's in an opposition with Jupiter, which is also retrograding right now in Aries. And when we think about this axis of Aries and Libra, we think self and others. And then we think about how the lower mind, Mercury, is retrograding in this energy of others, allowing us to maybe have some, triggering energy or triggering interactions with others, with our communication, with our understanding. And this is offering a mirror and a reflection for us to think in balance with the higher mind, Jupiter, that is in that energy of self. And to balance self in this way, right? So just something to ponder, something to think about on a personal level, but also to recognize that this energy is here in the collective as well. And we're all feeling this on a bigger scale. I also want to bring up the energy that is coming about with Saturn and Aquarius, as it has been since December of 2020, but still something super important to keep on our radar because this energy has been activated and it's super active right now and has been this year, along with the North Node Taurus in Taurus, and it being in a pretty close relationship, otherwise known as a conjunction with Uranus, especially now that Uranus is retrograding backwards. It's coming in closer and squeezing up tighter next to that North Node again. And so with all this energy on the table right now, on a collective level, I just want to remind us that we are under very transformative times right now. And with Uranus, the planet of sudden change and shakeups and shocking events, and a planet that is ruled by Aquarius energy, meaning that it is pushing forward for evolution, pushing forward for newness to come about. That's why that shock up and that change or that shakeup and that shocking change happens, right? So that we can progress and create new and push boundaries. And so this very evolutionary energy is hugging our North Node, which is an energy that is, we can look at it as like a North Star. It's like a karmic destined point that we need to collectively in our energy evolve towards, right? So we've got this happening in Taurus. And this is going to be bringing up themes that we've already seen, like our resources, how we farm, how we use the land, what we value, why we value what we value, how we work. Look at how we work is radically changing, right? And I mean, all this energy, which when I pass it back to Shelby here, I know she's going to bridge it with a lot of these examples that we have for this energy, but how we're looking at these things, how we work, why we value what we value, how we spend our money, how we use our resources, how we farm, how we eat. I mean, it is important to keep these at the forefront of your mind because it is the energy that is on the table right now and it is heating up. And this energy is going to be transformative and kind of rough and challenging, as we already see. And with a Saturn in Aquarius, in retrograde right now, it's asking us to pause and look at the old structures and the new ones that need to be laid. The old structures and what we've learned from the harsh lessons with them, and what we've learned from discipline, or where we need it, or where we need to develop, or where we need to set certain boundaries, right? Or where we need to reevaluate boundaries with old structures, and to see what needs to be done, what new foundations, what new disciplines, what new structures need to be laid to accommodate for the whole marketplace, for the whole of humanity. This is Aquarius energy. And a lot of that is really getting hit with our Taurus money system. Okay, so this energy is super, super active right now, has been and will be for the remainder of the year. We got to talk about it here in September as well. And just to keep in mind as well, the planet of transformation itself is shifting and in very critical degrees right now, and will be for a little while, into a new energy. And what I'm speaking of there is Pluto and Capricorn, and how it's going to be shifting into Aquarius, which just adds to all of this tenfold. So I'll pass it over to Shelby here to just bridge one more time for us on this collective energy, and to also go ahead and wrap up the call for something to think about as we move forward until we see each other next week. So
I love that. Everything you said just flows so perfectly. I think there's just this energy right now of getting our life back on track, right? Like you said, in that North Node, like moving towards what is our calling. I think there's a lot of people who are just like, they're waking up and realizing that there's more to what I've been told life is, right? That I don't have to go and give my time to this thing that no longer resonates or serves me. Maybe it served the generation before me because that was what worked for them at the time, but it's not working now, right? Things change, they evolve. And I think it's just also time that a lot of people they're tired of living in fear. They're tired of living in doubt. There's almost this energy of like, oh my God, this has been here and rampant for so long in our world. There's got to be another way. There's got to be another way. And there is. And there's that waking up and remembering of, we are not here to struggle. We're not here to be depressed. We're not here to stay in these energies. There has to be more of a balance, right? They play their part because they show us what we don't want and how we don't want to feel, so that we can focus more on what it is that we do want, how we want to feel. We want to feel at peace. We want to feel happy. We want to feel secure. Every single human has the same like desire. And they might want something physically, but really they just want the feeling of what that will bring, right? So if we can ask ourselves, what's no longer working for me, right? If I'm not feeling this, or this energy's off, or this person's off, or this relationship's off, what's not working there, right? What's no longer necessary in my life? Maybe it's a person, maybe it's something you're doing, spending your time with, maybe it's a habit you have, maybe it's something related to drinking or drugs, maybe it's going out too much, maybe it's spending money where you don't need, right? What's no longer not working, and it's time to really put the hammer down and have that discipline, right? You have to have the discipline to say, here's what I want, and I'm going to go after it. I'm not going to let other things stray me or keep me from where it is that I'm headed, that North Node, right? That destiny, that purpose, that feeling of why we're even here in the first place. And I'm going to end it with this, because I think there's this general, like, overall feeling right now that the world there's a lot of things that are happening in the world, right? There's always a lot of things happening in the world. And I remember sitting with this with my mom the other day, and also my grandma. I talked to her about this a couple months ago, and they're like, yeah, the world's getting weirder and weirder. My grandma said, like, she's 93 years old. My mom, watches the news a lot, and she sees a lot of the bad things that are happening. But I stop and I think, yeah, things are getting weirder. And yeah, sometimes there's some bad things going on here, but there's still so much more to life that outweighs the bad. That when you focus on the good, when you focus on, where you're headed, and you focus on little incremental steps each day to get better, it adds up, right? It compounds. And so focus on those little things every day. And the only moment we have is the present moment, right? So really ask yourself, where can I bring more awareness into what I need in the present moment? Do I need more time in meditation? Do I need to eat differently? Do I need to get moving? Maybe it's just 30 minutes of walking, right? Everyone can go out and walk. Maybe I can go put on an audio or some calming music. Um, Figure out what that is for you. Maybe it's going and joining a class. Maybe it's going and joining a community. Maybe it's learning a new skill set. You need to have something right now in your life that you can turn to that will help you grow, that will help you get a little bit closer to that destiny, that north node that Kylie was talking about. And you need to find something or someone or some group to support you on that path, because you can't do it by yourself. You just can't. So call in that soul tribe, calling the people who are going to be at that new frequency, that new level of where you want to get to. Call them in and then get ready, because guess what? As soon as you start calling them in, someone's going to fall out of your life, or this is going to happen, or you're going to lose something. And welcome that in, because it's the universe answering your call and saying, oh, you want this now? Okay, let me get rid of this for you. All right, let me destruct this, let me get rid of this. And all these planets are playing a part in it right now, so the energy is amplified. So welcome it in. Like, I hurt my arm the other day, and I'm now not able to go and work for maybe 2 or 3 weeks. And I sat with it and I thought, this is a blessing. This is a blessing. I get to sit, I get to learn, I get to create, I get to, and see how I shifted it from, oh, why is this happening to me, to this happening for a reason. I asked the universe a couple weeks ago to fully focus it on one thing in my life, which was investing and trading, right? So it's so interesting how the universe does that. So listen to those callings, and listen to those moments of things not going your way when you've asked for things. Listen to that. See how the universe brings new things in or takes things out. It's really fascinating. And just bring awareness in. That's all we can end with right now. Just like bring more awareness to the moment. That's what this whole Astrolo-Tea is about. Bringing awareness into the energy of the present moment, what can happen in the future, and what the past has taught us, so that we can be more present, more at peace, more in the feelings we want to be in the present moment. And that's just pure freedom from there, when you're in a place of like bliss and happiness and peace, and things are flowing. And even when things aren't flowing, right, bringing that new shift in awareness to, this is okay right now, all is well, right? I kept telling myself the other day, it gets better the better it gets. Right? I'm like, my arm's in a sling, but it gets better the better it gets. And I just was like focusing on the good, focusing on what is in my life, right? And that's what you have to shift it to, from fear and doubt and worry and anxiety and distress, to happiness and gratitude and peace and love, and what is working and what is going well for me, even if it's just one thing out of 100 that's going well. Focus on that.
What can I do? Like, what can I do? And do what you can do. And that's all that you need to do, and everything you're saying is so on point, Shelby, for the energy, like so on point for what is, here inviting us to do with this energy. And especially how you said, learn new skills. That's so Gemini. There's great energy to learn new skills. There's great energy right now to sit in with meditation and breath work and practice developing this. There's great energy right now to work on your communication, work on your writing, work on your creativity. There's great energy right now to do that. And so, yeah, this is a beautiful way to shift perspective. And also, I wanted to highlight how you spoke at the end there to that perspective shift, and how that really can change everything for you. And really just want to highlight, that this is going to be a really great season to practice the power of surrendering. Power in surrendering when you do it right. Yeah. And when you surrender, and like I said, do what you can do and surrender the rest, and practice your faith, and practice, redirection. Like Shelby said, practice following the pings, because whether we're speaking these messages to you, whether the words come out right or wrong or whatever you want to call them, the message is always coming through if you just listen. There's always, this energy is always speaking. So just open up your eyes, like Shelby said, bring more awareness and follow the pings, and allow for redirection by surrendering. I think I said it like a week ago. It was a beautiful quote saying that the art of surrendering is very much so like flowing down a river the way water does, and allowing yourself to be redirected as you go for what you aim for.
It feels so good to just release and let go and let the powers of the universe and the elements just like take over and be like, oh, I'm just floating right now. I'm just gonna let you bring me where I'm supposed to.
Lots of floating, lots of tea.
Yes.
Here.
I think we should end it on the same thing every time, which is just a phrase which I think is always a beautiful phrase to end on, which is, it gets better the better it gets.
It gets better the better it gets.
The better it gets, the better it gets. So
cheers to that. I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. Thank you everyone who is catching the replay of this. And like we said, we'll be around. So we'll chat with you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.